Brian Kelly fired as the head football coach at LSU. He came here for one reason: to compete at the top of the SEC for college football playoff berths and a national championship. That's why Brian Kelly came to LSU. That goal was explicitly stated, and ultimately, this program pushed its chips in for this season. You had the defensive staff put in place that you were looking for. You had a returning nucleus with your offensive staff and quarterback and playmakers, and then you went to the transfer portal and dumped all the NIL money you had into this football team. And everyone from the inside out looked at this and said, this is the team that must make the playoffs. And you've got wiggle room. 10-2 will get you there. 11-1 likely gets you a spot in Atlanta, Georgia for the SEC championship game. And we know what a perfect 12-0 record looks like. This was the year. And ultimately, it was going to determine Brian Kelly's fate in Baton Rouge. And on Saturday night, you realized that this was going to be a failure. Things were not getting better. They were getting worse. And I said last week, when asked a question on What If Wednesday, what if you lose a couple more games? And I said, I'm less concerned about the football aspects of this because we know what those goals are, and more concerned about the finances of it. That's a decision I cannot speak to because it's not my money. I don't know exactly where all those dollars and cents would come from if they were called upon. And I don't know how willing those people would be to cut those checks. We found out quickly on Saturday night into Sunday morning, then into the afternoon hours of Sunday when Brian Kelly was let go. I told you last week that I had a fear about Saturday night. A fear that a better football team was going to impose its will on LSU, that a more motivated fan base was going to show up inside Tiger Stadium, and that an apathetic, angry fan base in the home colors was going to turn and leave. And it was like a premonition, essentially, because what I witnessed inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday night was all time. I haven't been going to games in that stadium as long as some of you listening to this. I'm 37 years old. I was in Tiger Stadium when LSU lost to UAB. That was stunning and awful. I was in Tiger Stadium when the 2001 Florida team went absolutely nuts in there, just as badly as I've seen an LSU team beaten. I was in Tiger Stadium when TJ Yeldon in 2012 broke everyone's hearts with that screen pass in that revenge spot. It was heartbreaking. I was there when Troy beat LSU. Saturday night, to me, was the most embarrassing I've ever seen for that football program in that stadium. I do not believe that's hyperbole. I thought it was a possibility at the middle of last week. I sat through all of it on Saturday, and that's my belief. It was the worst I have ever seen. I hadn't been there for all of them. And there are some emotional things that are involved for everybody. But to watch a program who you had your thumb on for the better part of a decade, that has never won anything in my lifetime, take over your stadium and do all that goofy stuff they do over there, and the strength coach that you let go, taking pictures on the eye of the tiger, and their coach in the interview room quipping that the home night record is 20-2 now instead of 20-1. All that put together was embarrassing for LSU's football program. And the people that have the money and the influence to change things decided it was time to do that. It was an embarrassment for LSU football. And the head coach is responsible for that. The fact of the matter is that this team that Brian Kelly put together with the funds that he needed, the coaching staff that Kelly put together with the funds he needed, is not very good. They went to Clemson, and we thought, man, what a defense. Clemson can't score. They played Florida. 5 turnovers. What a defense. Florida fired its coach 5 minutes later. This roster that you put together, this coaching staff that you put together, lost to Vanderbilt and got annihilated by Texas A&M in your home stadium. That will shake you to your core as an LSU Tiger. And so I wrote a column on Saturday night after the game, saying this is really bad. This team is officially a failure, and that means that changes are going to have to be made. We woke up on Sunday, and you felt like there was a reasonable chance that some real changes were going to be made on the offensive side of the football. That's just what Sunday felt like waking up. And then Sunday crosses our radar at LouisianaSports.net that changes are afoot, maybe not just the offense, maybe all the way up to the top. So there are discussions being had. We're monitoring things on our end with LouisianaSports.net. You understand that it's an interesting situation in terms of the hierarchy at LSU and in the state of Louisiana. There's not a university president. The athletic director has hired the coach and will now have to facilitate the spend to buy out that coach that's one of the biggest in the history of college football. That is a mark against the athletic director, no doubt. You've got a governor who appoints the board of supervisors who are looking to approve a president, and now you start to see that there is a power broker exchange that's going on and a lot of influence being tossed around. And ultimately, to me, when it becomes apparent that money is no longer an object, that makes the decision-making a little bit easier. Because it's very, very, very difficult for me to look on that field Saturday, to look on that field for what we've seen with this team that is so veteran, that we thought had so much talent, and to see it going backwards. It's very difficult to then look at that and go, well, this will get better. Just get rid of the entire offensive staff now and do what you did with the defense 2 years ago. Well, oh, by the way, the defense is getting gashed. Vanderbilt, up and down the field. A&M, up and down the field. Now, for me personally, I've watched LSU lose to better football teams over the years. I've seen Alabama come in there and shut LSU out. I've seen Tennessee a few years ago come in and just wear LSU out start to finish. But this is an A&M team that, while top 3 in the country, and I believe very good, they were in a dogfight with Arkansas last week. It was a 3-point game midway through the fourth quarter. It was a 3-point game at the end. They were in a dogfight with Auburn in College Station. Auburn's terrible. And they just ran you ragged. The fan base is checked out. Who knows what the reaction of the players is going to be? This is not a salvageable situation. And so the decision made, we got to move on. And that's what happens. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.